Good morning, CC members, partners, and friends. Hope you all had a this morning, and for those traveling from abroad, a safe journey to London. On behalf of my entire CC team, I'm delighted and excited today to welcome you all to the CC-IoT Summit, as well as, of course, London 22 GCCM. I am myself and my team, we are very much delighted to be back to London after 24 challenging months, and to reconnect all our members, community members, once again in London to meet, network, do business, share knowledge and intelligence. I would like to extend our warm and special thanks to the China Mobile International team, Valentina and the team, for their tremendous support and for hosting this special CC-IoT Summit in London, as well as, of course, all other official sponsor exhibitors for all the support we received. Thank you also to all speakers and panelists, both physically here in London, as well as virtually online via CC-Webinar.Live, for taking their valuable time to join us today, and in the next sessions today and tomorrow to share their insight with all of us. My team and myself, we will be at your disposal at all time to assist with any inquiries, and I am myself personally looking forward to meet all in person today and tomorrow, but also during the evening receptions today and tomorrow. I wish you all a successful event, and and see you around later. Thank you very much. And now I would like to pass on the microphone to Valentina to give her welcome speech on behalf of the China Mobile team and the keynote presentation. And later on, Eric to take over. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye for now.
Good morning and good day, everybody online. Good to see you here. It's good to see a full room finally. And really happy to start this conversation today. China Mobile is really like a volcano. A lot of things are happening on all sides. So from the network side, from the mobility side, and we really have a lot to share for the IoT connectivity and IoT solutions. So I thought, we thought it was a really important time to come here and share what we are doing and, start this discussion. We are, very well developed in China, but we are still at the beginning in Europe. So we are here really to share ideas and to see what we can do together. Well, I joined China Mobile International 7 years ago. I'm based here in London, and I run the carrier team in China Mobile UK. So we have responsibility of sales for all the products. So from subsea cable to data center, IP transit, and also all the mobility family, including IPX, sponsor roaming, A2P, and now IoT. So we are quite busy. You can see, I think, from my face, So this morning, we would like to share a bit more about the IoT connectivity for Asia Pac and China. Just a bit more numbers as well, not to show off the numbers, but really to give an idea of what we are building and what we are dealing with in the home soil and also on the IoT side. So we have now reached around 961 million customers, and also connectivity on many 5G packet customers, means that they are customer ready to use 5G. I think effective customers now are around 200 million. The readiness of the customer for 5G is past 400 million. We also have this specific company that developed the IoT market in China under the China Mobile Group, which is called China Mobile IoT Company. And these are really the achievement that we sign under this company. So the connection, there's development on MB-IoT, and also the build of the ecosystem. So we are counting around 1,700 partners just for IoT, just to make it work. In China, the domestic soil, we're really doing covering all the part of an IoT solution. So we are producer of chipset and modules. We self-develop our connectivity management platform. We also offer some smart hardware and also an open application developer enablement platform, which is let's say the application software platform. At China Mobile International, we are the international branch of China Mobile. So we are everything that is required from China Mobile Group to go out internationally, and also from our internationally to go into China. So this is the product set from the carrier team. This is what we are responsible of. Finally, but not least, is the Iut Roaming. Definitely, we have developed really strong roaming capabilities all around the world. We can offer a pay-as-you-grow model for depends on the user cases, or really going into more of a commitment contract. Even for the Iut Roaming is really, let's say, it's like a kind of a seamless implementation. If you already have a roaming agreement with us, we can really translate that into an Iut Roaming, and as well it will be supported by our IPX network and our sponsor roaming.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Vale and China Mobile International for this Care Community IoT Summit sponsoring. Thank you so much. So, gentlemen, I hope you you didn't mind, but I let the women talk first. So, Chandra and Sunil, welcome. Chandra, I go to you first. Bankai, please say something to the people here.
Hello, Eric. How are you doing? It's really pleasure to be part of a technology that's been called a volcano by China Mobile, and I totally believe in that. So myself, Chandrahas Rana, I head the business development from Bankai Group side. We are one of the unique company that has one of the biggest wholesale carrier grade network across more than 150 plus operators. And then when it comes to technology endeavors, we have our own technology solution ranging from telecom to fintech to blockchain, and now we have very robust suite for IoT deployments as well. So great to be the part of this panel. Look forward to have nice discussion.
Thank you, and good having you, Chandra. So Sunil, last but not least, AT&T, please. Thank you and welcome to the team here.
Thank you so much for having me on this panel. This is my second opportunity to join a carrier community event. So I am the regional director for IoT for AT&T for the India and the ASEAN region. I'm responsible for the overall sales, business development, and all the marketing initiatives for AT&T in the IoT space. And one key important objective of my role is also trying to build our partner ecosystem, because IoT is an ecosystem play. We need to have the right set of partners, be it devices, applications, and so on. So a lot of my effort is in trying to build our partner ecosystem. So I work with a number of startups, quite a few niche IoT players. And and AT&T IoT business unit is also one of the fastest growing business units, growing at double digits. It's a huge focus from the leadership on our IoT growth. And I'm happy to be associated with some of our big initiatives. So happy to be part of this panel and looking forward to sharing my thoughts during the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunil, and good having you all. So much knowledge here around the table here in London to discuss IoT. IoT, all nice. Nasya, you know I'm coming to you, right? I'm asking you this one.
I had that feeling.
You had the feeling. Cool. Listen, IoT landscape, ecosystem, all nice words. What are we talking about? Can you give us a couple of examples? I mean, you don't have to go into what is IoT, but what do you see around yourself? What do we see?
For sure. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to basics because I don't know, who is in the audience and what they're listening. So in the simplest form, when we're talking about IoT, is making physical devices smarter. So connecting the unconnected is the key thing when it comes to the general are at the moment. It's IoT is a buzzword. Let's put that in one side. It is now being, in my opinion, reimagined in many ways, especially after the past 2 years that we've had. A lot of the services that we thought 2 years ago that would be the key end up being not as important as some other services. And what I mean by that, what we're seeing in the industry, we're seeing the industrial IoT or IIoT having good traction. So management of logistics, factories, track and tracing has been around for a long time, and they will continue to do so. We see that the movement from the cloud to the edge, computing to the edge, is extremely important. And what's even more so these days is AI on the edge. So the computing is not just IoT and just having smart devices that don't go to the cloud, but actually doing the intelligent entity of the devices on the edge. Other things that we're seeing on the industry are 5G is now ready. Valentina mentioned earlier about what is happening with 5G in China, but 5G is ready for IoT. And in its inception, 5G was created in many ways to take care of IoT and all the myriads of connected devices. The other thing that is important to note is the gamification around the IoT services. IoT services are becoming more modular, and operationally, organizations are seeing the key that is key to change internally their processes in order to implement the many options that they have with connected products and connected devices per se. So you asked me about a couple use cases. So I mentioned industrial IoT and I mentioned logistics. But let's not forget that there's a lot of telco people here, so connectivity and everything that comes around connectivity and the use cases for connectivity are key. So smart vehicles, smart mopeds, the electrical, little scooters that we see everywhere, track and trace on the devices from the traffic lights to the benches on the street, smart homes. The use cases are so vast, I can talk about them all day, but they will give an idea of where the industry is going. So modularity, I would say 5G is ready, computing on the edge, and I forgot the most important thing, security. Security, it's important. We cannot have good IoT or proper IoT without talking about security.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Nasia. So Sunil, from your point of view, give us a quick supercharged overview of the IoT ecosystem. What do you see around you?
So, yeah, sure. So I think we should start using the term Internet of Everything rather than use the word Internet of Things, because IoT is just not about things. It's also about people. It's also about process. So we need that seamless integration between people, process, and technology, right? And it's about the visibility into your business. I think the biggest advantage of Internet of Everything is the fact that you're extracting data from the physical world and you're able to add context to it. I think that is the biggest benefit of IoT. In terms of what are the trends that you're seeing in the IoT marketplace, Nasia, I think pretty much covered all the use cases that we are seeing where IoT is being used. Be it in supply chain, logistics, industrial IoT, smart homes, and so on. But I think what is really important is the fact that it's the data that you need to leverage, right? So what's the point in extracting all the data from the physical world if you're not able to get the insights to help you make the right decisions and to help predict business outcomes? So I would see that we'll probably see an amalgamation of AI and IoT. So maybe 2 years from now or 3 years from now, we'll be talking more maybe like AIoT, AI and IoT kind of merged together. That is what I foresee. But one important area which I wanted to touch upon when you talk about IoT and the fact that the use of IoT in sustainability, because it's so important. And for whether you talk about from a country standpoint or from an industry standpoint, climate change is a major issue. And the advantage that organizations have is that they can leverage the power of IoT in their own businesses. So be it an energy optimization, depending on whatever business that you run, the fact that you can now measure energy consumption and you can optimize it using IoT, I think it's a huge plus. Supply chain, I think by digitizing your supply chain, reducing the amount of paper, making sure that you're able to use route optimization to take the shortest possible route, and so on. I think the use cases in sustainability will gradually increase going forward. And pretty much every organization today has ESG goals. They come up with a charter in terms of what the ESG goals are, and they need to measure those goals regularly. And technology will play a huge part. And in this context, I just wanted to share with you that even for AT&T, we launched a connected climate initiative, CC-I, where we have embarked on a goal to get to carbon neutral by 2035. And we also want to reduce 1 gigaton of carbon emissions for our customers by 2035 as well. And tech will play a huge part across various use cases. So I really want to stress the fact that IoT will play a huge role in making sure that organizations are able to meet their sustainability goals. That's what I would just want to share.
Okay, thank you. Chandar, what's your take on it?
Yeah, Sunil has covered most of the use cases and the recent development when it comes to application side. From my side, I will talk more on the numbers. See, when you talk about IoT today, number of connected devices outnumber the mobile subscribers by 5 times. And in next 7 years, this number would be 4 to 5 times more. Overall, if you talk like IoT markets, last year only hardware side, companies spent more than $700 billion US. So of course, like it's a volcano. And in respect to telecom industry and telecom operators, what I feel is operators need to think beyond connectivity. Now they need to get into computing, and somewhere, they need to utilize those insights. Just for an example, like as per Gartner Hypercycle 2020, IoT is #1 in ladder for all the emerging technologies. And the next 3 technologies, like Sunil mentioned, is AI, big data, and cloud computing. So telecom operators, if you talk today, like their 96% of revenues come from traditional connectivity or traditional businesses. So operators are sitting on a volcano where like, this is, I think, first time where operator has a role to play across industries, not only telecom industry or IT. We club IT and telecom irrepressibly, but now from, smart cities to, e-health to, you name mining to education to every industry, like telecom operators have a great role to play to transform the industry in next 5-7 years. And we are fortunate to be in the times like where like industry 4 is shaping up, and operators will get lots of pie of the revenues in coming days.
Okay. Okay.
I just want to add one point here.
Please, Sunil, jump in.
The thing is that if you just look at most initiatives of organizations of the last many years, and especially during the COVID situation, a lot of the IoT initiatives have been largely focused on trying to reduce cost, improve efficiencies. It's time now to leverage the power of data and use IoT to go just looking beyond cost and cutting initiatives. I think it's time to now look at how IoT can be used to improve customer experience. How do you improve customer experience? By coming up with more personalized products and services, and to focus more on the revenue side. So I think very few initiatives, that is, most studies have shown that very less use cases and projects around improving CX, improving revenues for organizations. And today, thanks to IoT and AI, organizations can innovate around the business models and offer products as a service. So manufacturers today can offer products as a service, thanks to IoT. Right? I think we need to now move beyond pure cost cutting to see how we can use IoT to improve revenues and CX, customer experience, in my view.
Okay, Nasya?
I fully agree with what Sunil was just saying. I just want to highlight that this is not new. IoT, let's look beyond the terms. Big data, AI have been around for ages, have been around for decades. I mean, we start talking now about IoT and big data like it's the best new thing. It's not new. It's been around. We're finally getting comfortable at using the data and looking at the data to extract the insights that we need in order to make our businesses more efficient, more organized, which then in turn will drive what Sunil said, customer experience, which is key. In the end of the day, why are we doing all this? We're doing it in order to improve customer experience, keep the customer happy, of course, and that will drive revenue. How we do it, it's a different case altogether. And it's important to look at the technology as just that, technology. Let's look beyond the terms and look at how we can make technology efficient and operational.
Okay, clear statement. Clear statement. Wouldn't you say, gentlemen? We have the women in the panel. Okay, here we go. So let's dive into it. What are the opportunities we see on the data services? Maybe you can think also a little bit on the traditional data services, but where do we see the opportunities lying, Valentina?
Yeah, I think from our point of view, building everything in China allow us to see the opportunity for the outside. So the Chinese enterprises will go abroad, they will develop, and we are preparing the network and the data center and the IP connectivity for that. So we see a big demand really for China going abroad and building up their business abroad, and then vice versa. We see demand in Europe for different type of services when the enterprises, the European enterprises, need to go to China and Asia. So now the requests are really are diversified. So they are looking for SD-WAN solution in China. They are looking for some data center. They are looking for a full solution, including data center, SD-WAN, 4G access, global SIM, etc. So from the network side, the infrastructure side, the data services, we have like a more complicated scenario. A lot of product really need to be bundled together. And then the opportunities we see from both sides, from China going out and also the enterprises, European enterprises going in towards Asia.
Okay, going to the other operator. Sunil, tell me, where do you think are lying actually the key opportunities and challenges on the let's say the data services project? What are you foreseeing in your AT&T portfolio to come?
Right. So see, traditionally, the telcos haven't really leveraged the data that is being generated from all these huge assets, right? So we really haven't come out with strategies that can monetize this data, right? I think it's very important.
We should.
Absolutely, yeah. So we should. I agree with you, and I think that's where the ecosystem would come in handy here, because with so much of data being generated, how do we work out those partnerships? And here, I think the need for the telcos to work with all stakeholders, be it the hyperscale providers, be it guys who build very good IoT platforms, even the device community, because we partner with a number of companies who make the IoT devices. So I think the telcos should go beyond connectivity, as Chandra has mentioned, because connectivity revenues are dwindling. Today it's about $1 per month. They anticipate it will become $1 for the whole year. So which means that they have to find new ways to generate that revenue, and that will come from data. And hence the need for the telco to play the role of an ecosystem orchestrator who would work with all the stakeholders and take and build a solution for the customer. And that's where the opportunity lies for the telco. And that's where they need to see how they can monetize the data, be it whatever application, be it in connected manufacturing, logistics, smart cities, and so on. The whole objective is for the telco to come up with the right revenue share models. I think that's going to be the challenge, because we've always been used to working in isolation, separate from all the other players. And now we are used to this paradigm where we're working with so many people, right? And that's where we need to figure out how to forge those right partnerships, come up with the right rev share models. And that's where we're going to see how we can monetize data, in my view. Okay. Thank you, Chandler. Talking about the new business models and the new revenue models, like Sunil. So combining it with the services and the models, where do you see the key opportunities and challenges?
See, as Sunil rightly said, that operator has so much data of subscribers, they need to monetize it. But if you talk, overall about IoT business model, I see that operators or carriers like us has 4 opportunities. First is definitely connectivity, where being the custodian of network, operators need to provide the real-time connectivity. Moreover, 5G kind of new technologies, they need to kind of be more aggressive. Western side of the world already, even in China, we see lots of rollouts on 5G side. But when you talk about developing world, where 60% of base stations are there, still they are using 3G or old technologies, BTS. Second, what I feel is on platform side, IoT platform side, operators can get into, and where they can provide lots of APIs, where that different players can come up and use as per their requirement. Third, what I feel is somewhere on application side, like operators need to work closely with application companies, like just Vodafone bought a company, Cobra Automotive, for connected vehicles. They need to get into that as well. Fourth, of course, that operators and many companies are already doing on wholesale side managed services contract. They need to get into SLA game. Gone are the days where you used to sell a lease line and then giving those 99.99% SLAs. Trust me, operators need to think beyond pipe model. They need to be a digital enabler. And if I feel any operator get into they try to get into all these 4 models, there are lots of opportunities for operators to explore.
Thank you, Chandler. Nasya, for sure. You just listen to the operators and the guys. Tell me.
All right. So you asked for opportunities and you asked for challenges. The opportunities for the business models is, of course, for the operators to move up the value chain. Let's move beyond connectivity, because connectivity is now becoming a feature. And especially when we're talking about the $1 per year connectivity, how can you make money out of that? So bundling the services and solutions, including platforms, including connectivity, including devices, and making, coming out with something as a service. And I say something as a service because that could be connectivity as a service, platform as a service, device as a service, you name it as a service. So it's one way of monetizing IoT services or connected services per se. So connectivity is about 70% of the entire, I would say, ecosystem business. So where do you see more, where I personally see the majority of the take is on managed services, consultancy, hand-holding the customer, ensuring that the customer understands, that the ecosystem understands what are you doing and how are you doing it and how are you going to go about it afterwards. So that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, oh, and I forgot the most important thing, I will keep going back to this, security as a service. So that could also be, as a service. So on the other side, the challenges, security, it is a challenge for connected services and IoT in general. The other thing is understanding the ecosystem, creating key partnerships through the ecosystem so they can be collaborative, because as my fellow panelists said earlier, telcos and operators have been working on a siloed environment. So let's cooperate, because nobody can do this on their own. There isn't one player that can offer all the solutions and the services across the entire ecosystem and the entire IoT stack. So collaboration is key. And it can be very challenging if you don't understand who is within your ecosystem and whom you should be working with. Operations internally, because historically, when we're talking about digital transformation across the board, We know we're talking about technology operations and people, but organizations are concentrating a lot of their efforts in the technology part, making sure the infrastructure is there or the right platform is there, and they're overlooking or the operations in the human factor is an afterthought. And this is creating a lot of challenges when we're trying to monetize connected services. So the human aspect is very important, and it needs to be addressed from the get-go. And that could mean things such as training your employees internally, having the right resources. Now, let's not forget, getting the right resources for IoT is a challenge on its own. You know, I don't know if you've tried to hire somebody lately, either that's a developer or somebody else. It's been quite a challenge. And also operation. The operational model needs to change in order to address all these things that we're seeing for the connected world. In the end of the day, it's all about data. Nobody is doing IoT for the fun of it, you know, and I can tell you from personal experience, it can be fun, but it's extremely challenging. And some days you just want to hit your head on the wall and scream, running for the mountains, but we're doing it for the data. So what are we doing with this data? I'll leave that up to you guys.
So, Valentina, what should we do with the data? What do you think? I mean, if we really come to, let's say, a point, and Sunil and Chandra, jump in, guys. I mean, it's interactive. Come on. If we keep on, you know, hitting our head against the wall, because not that much is new, right? Not that much is new. But what's the way out? How can we address it in a proper way that really our end customers, they see, let's say, the benefits of it, and they and we, let's say, everybody as operators or all around here in the room can capitalize on that. Do we some extra services? Is there? How can we translate it into really the models where we say, okay, we understand it. This is the way to go to. So I'm asking you a bit about the future and a bit about China Mobile's international future. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, on the big data, we are also getting a lot of experience being an enabler for others. Because as China Mobile International, being an MNO, we might not be the one producing the big data. However, we are making sure that this big data, we can do something with it. So either be transported, being stored, being transmitted, being understood, etc. So I think the main point, and we discussed this with NASA on different moment, is finding perhaps, I don't know, the CFO that is signing off an IoT project, right? So the IoT has to is a need for the enterprise, because everybody would like, robotics in the enterprise, or they would like, to cut the human error at the limit, or have a real-time monitoring every time, everywhere, about everything. But then how much does it cost? So this is the main point. So I think the way we see the project coming along, they are always about an integration or about a consultancy. It's like bringing our expertise to resolve a customer issue, but also to make them, let's say, save money or improve productivity, automation, etc. So I think the main view and the approach for the future is really to be open and listen to what the customer needs, and trying to resolve their issues on the, sometimes even with like more of a simple solution, depends on the connectivity on their side or the user case and stuff like that. I think, we are lucky to be at China Mobile because this expertise will come out. And the future, I think what we will see is really be able to integrate a lot of different technologies, especially the latency, the old technologies, all infrastructure, and see how to find a formula to automate and digitalize. Okay, thank you,
Chandra. If everything is what we heard actually is agile and we're talking about, let's say, the future of integrated services, Can you scope with us a little bit the future? What will we encounter from your point of view?
Eric, can you repeat your question? I didn't get your last part.
I was talking about scoping the future. What will you see? What will we encounter in the coming future? And from out of the context that everything, let's say, we see agility and in our service offering.
Yeah. So Eric, first of all, the data disparity across the world has to be curbed, because if you talk about, now in IoT, we are talking about a global ecosystem where, for example, Toyota tomorrow want to have, driverless car across the world. It cannot run that you have 6G or 5G network in Western side of the world or in China, and in Africa, they're still using, 3G base stations. So somewhere I think operators need to do lots of hand-holding in the developing part of the world, where from Western side of Europe to Africa or Southeast Asia side. Once you will have that global uniform connectivity, then we will talk about agility and all things can be explored. Now coming to different opportunities, see, when you talk about opportunities, like it's beyond telecom, it's beyond connectivity. Like now we are talking about smart cities and smart transport. Like just an example, in India, we have a project of more than 100 plus smart cities, and the total spend of the government on that is more than $500 billion for next 10 years. So when you inculcate everything across the globe, opportunity is humongous. When you get into very basic industries like agriculture, when precision farming come into picture, where IoT devices will do the moisture test and will give the right feedback to the farmers. Still 40% of the world population is into agriculture and related occupation. So that is also a humongous opportunities. Gaming, of course, is a big opportunity, but operators need to think beyond cost, rather focus on latency, because 1 millisecond lag and you will die in any game. SLAs are very high on that. And then, e-health, and you talk about remote health or telehealth, that is also going to be the big opportunities for the operators. So overall, like as per the reports, or you talk about today, the size of global telecom industry today is more than $3 trillion. But when you talk about IoT and the industry, it's going to transform, as per all Gartner or all the consulting companies. By 2030, the opportunity size is more than $10 trillion. So that's like somewhere around 15% of the world GDP. So numbers are in favor of this technology, and numbers are in favor for telecom and other allied industry. It's only that how we will get the best pie out of that. It should not happen. It has happened in past as well. Like operator being the custodian of the network, they build the networks, and some other players came into picture. They get the maximum size of the revenue. Now is the moment for telecom operator, where they can be, the builder of the future.
Thank you so much. So Neil, what's your forefront? Can you scope the future?
Yeah, so I think the first thing in my view is that the telcos should, and this is a very generic view, but while there is enough technology which is available to monetize data, it really is a culture and mindset issue, because the companies, telcos should have a data-driven organization. How do we leverage data to segment our customers better? That is number one. And when it comes to selling, it all starts at the ground, right? I mean, guys who are going on the field selling IoT services, traditionally they've been always used to selling connectivity, bandwidth, fixed monthly revenue, charges, so on. So now it's time for them to change the language, So you start with the customer problem, and then you see what technology will go and solve that problem, right? So an IoT is always going to be a part of that, right? So I think a lot of effort needed to skill people to go and position these kind of services. IoT is going to be part of a larger solution. That's number one. And I think if they're able to do that, then I think there's enough and more opportunity to tap on. Number two, I also of the view that 5G will definitely propel IoT growth going forward. If 5G promises what it is going to deliver, especially when you talk about one of the pillars of 5G being massive machine type communications. where you can have very high connection density, that will definitely propel IoT growth. And 5G is never going to be the solution. 5G will be part of the solution. So how do you combine 5G with, say, AR and VR or AI and so on, and take that solution to the customer to solve the specific challenges? That will definitely be another factor. And third and most important thing is that this is something which the telcos are not used to in terms of how they come up with the pricing models, but the flexibility to offer a model wherein the customer pays based on actual outcomes being achieved, rather than just pay a fixed cost for bandwidth or device or data and so on. We haven't reached that maturity level yet, but I'm sure the organizations who implement these technologies, they are constantly checking what's happening in the market, and they at some point in time would demand that they only pay based on outcomes being achieved. And how telcos will be geared to that is going to be a different question altogether. But I think we must prepare ourselves for that reality, which might be a few years from now.
Okay, thank you, Sunil. Some famous last words, Nasya?
Absolutely. I thought you would never ask. All right. So connected services are actually blurring the lines in a lot of areas, including who's your competition. So if you're getting into connected services before, especially for telcos, you knew who the competition was. Everything was about pipification, where now we're looking at data and moving up the value chain to provide solutions and services. Let's look at the Tesla example. Tesla is selling directly to the end user. That is happening more and more, and it's an outcome of the connected services and solutions. So the competition landscape has changed. Other things that have changed is how we monetize these services. Sunil mentioned just a few minutes ago about results-orientated models, pricing models. Another thing could be revenue sharing, as a service that I mentioned earlier. So there's many different ways we can monetize the services, but all of this comes afterwards. So I'm going to take you a little bit before all this, and I will ask you a question that is, what problem are you trying to solve? What problem does your customer have that you're trying to solve with connected services? And then look of how you're going to solve that problem. Because talking about data, talking about connected services, talking about connectivity, those are all good, but they're very general. But if you're really going to offer the services, you're going to have to think of what problems you're trying to solve. What is important to your customers, because that will take you to the customer, providing good customer experience. And I cannot, mention it enough, ensure that your security is there from the get-go, from the beginning. So where are we going as a business when it comes to connected services and IoT? Is going to expand. I don't believe what the analysts are saying, because we're easily 5 years behind those, predictions. That said, we're still in infancy. Even though we've been around for over a decade, we're still in infancy. There is a great opportunity for everybody to get involved. So collaborate, cooperate, and understand what problem you're trying to solve.
And foremost, contribute.
Yes.
Because that's the most important thing. Guys, I need to leave it with this. So I would like to thank you, Nasya. Sunil and Chander, thank you so much for joining us virtually. Next time, be live here, right?
Hope so.
You're more than welcome. I would like to thank the audience. Arun, thank you for joining in, my fellow colleague. Thank you for being here. And we're going to talk the whole day about IoT, guys. We're going to talk about latest developments and everything. The role of mobile and everything in IoT. So stay tuned with us. More to come today. Special thanks to Valentin and Alvaro from China Mobile International. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Get a coffee. You need it. All right.
If you want to know about monetization, the next session, which I think Arun is moderating,
absolutely,
it's all about IoT monetization. So be back in this room, folks.